Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as we discuss if it's too soon. Is it ridiculous that people are talking about giving Michael Carrick the job? Are we seeing anything new or is it more of the same that we've seen over the last 10 years? And are Man United making another big mistake by giving a contract to a player like Harry Maguire who's been here for a long time? Are United ignoring the obvious open heart surgery that Ralph Rangnick spoke about years ago? We've also got some incredible outbursts from ex-players, Wayne Rooney, Nicky Butt, some transfer stuff as well, as we unpack what has been a very interesting start to Michael Carrick's interim management at Manchester United. And look, ultimately, he's unbeaten in 5 games. That's the positive. The ship is steadied. Champions League football is still very much in our hands. But I do take on board that when I looked at the game last night, okay, we've won 4 games, but tell me that wasn't dissimilar to Ten Hag ball or Ollie ball or Amrin ball or Mourinho ball. It seemed very similar to me to everything that we've seen. And ultimately, I think it comes down to the same old thing. You can't trust these players. If they turn the light switch on, they're more than capable of producing wins. But when they turn the lights off, then they're very, very culpable to losing games or drawing games. And it's interesting because I think that having watched it again this morning, albeit the highlights, and I think from the highlights you get the better story of the game. I mean, I just don't know what Callum Wilson's doing. I don't know why he doesn't square it and they win 2-0, just going into stoppage time before Sesko equal. I don't know what I think it's glory. I think it's selfishness from a striker. If you watch that chance back, 1-0 on the break, he cuts it back, it's a tap in, he goes for a shot and Lamons makes it. I think Lamons makes a big save. Also, Yoro made 2 very good blocks. So I've probably come out of it a little bit less thinking about Xerxes' header and Casemiro's offside, because Casemiro was offside and Xerxes did miss. And I look at those chances for West Ham and I think we were very lucky to get a win, to get a draw. I think people are acting like we could have won it. They should have won it. So take the point, take the positive, definitely. But look, what are you thinking about this morning? Because I saw Nicky Butt make 2 very interesting comments. One of them was that 6 weeks ago, Man United lose that game 2 or 3-0. And I don't know whether that's a dig at Amrim or a dig at, because he wants Carrick to get the job. I don't know the context. I just saw the quote. And I think Terry was on about it last night as well. And I thought, what a load of bollocks. What an absolute load of bollocks. We would not have won this. We would not have lost this game 6 weeks ago, 2 or 3-0. We're actually unbeaten in 9. We're actually unbeaten. I actually think we must be unbeaten in more than that. Let me have a look at this. We beat Newcastle. We drew with Wolves. We drew with Leeds. We drew with Burnley. And we're unbeaten in 9 Premier League games. We've not been beaten 2 or 3-0 by anybody since Brentford in September. In fact, I think we went on a run from the start of October to losing to Villa, where we lost 1 in 9 as well. Our problem this season is not in relation to our problem this season is not in relation to losing games. Our issue this season is winning games. That's been our biggest problem. That's why Amrim couldn't win 2 in a row. That's why it's been so good watching Carrick win 4 in a row. And that's why last night it was like every other game. So this, revisionism that we would have lost this game 2 or 3-0 5 or 6 weeks ago. No, we wouldn't. And we should have lost 2-0 last night. It's only because Callum Wilson's selfish. So I think what my issue is that we get so lost in the modern day with wanting to be right and wanting to be right now that we lose the ability for long-term vision, long-term conversation and common sense. Like Amrim got sacked because he fell out with Wilcox. When you look at the results, we were unbeaten quite a lot under Amrim. We just weren't winning enough games. And when I look at Man United last night, I don't blame it on Carrick. I blame it on the players and their inability to turn up for a game where we should have won. Not on performance, but we should be beating West Ham. So I look at it this morning and I go, I've learned nothing. I've learned nothing over the last 5 weeks, to be honest with you. I've learned nothing. We're unbeaten in 5. We've won 4. We've drawn 1. And all I know is you can't trust this team. It's inconsistent. It could turn up against Everton and win 4-0, and then it could play Palace at home and draw 1-1. and then it could lose at Newcastle and smash Villa the following week. It's an unpredictable team with unpredictable players, and until we solve that problem, we will be unpredictable. And all this talk of could we challenge for the title, I mean, literally was reacting to that on the morning show yesterday. I think it was Nicky Butt again talking about United challenging for the title. You've got no, there are people in this fan base who just sit back and laugh at it and go, why are people so obsessed with flip-flop opinions? Like, why does Michael Carrick have to get the job now? Why does he not get the job now? Why are we in a title race next year because we've won 4 games and now we're going to be relegated? It's just incredible to me how we keep making this mistake on and on and on and on. This job at Manchester United, whoever gets it, is massively, massively difficult, and there needs to be a huge clear out. And look, I got sent this. This was really interesting, right? Talk about Luke Shaw. Ricky reckons he's our best player, right? Shout out to Armin who sent me this, right? Luke Shaw versus other Premier League left backs. Premier League totals during Shaw's United era since July 2014. Luke Shaw, over 100 games, averages 7.4 goal contributions per 100 games. So every 100 games, Luke Shaw is averaging 7.4 goal contributions. It doesn't sound great straight away, does it? Andy Robertson, 22 goal contributions per 100 games. Marcus Alonso at Chelsea was averaging 24.6 goal contributions per games. Aaron Cresswell at West Ham, 12.8 goal contributions per 100 games. Lucas Digne, 16.4 goal contributions per 100 games. And Ben Chilwell, 17.5 goal contributions per 100 games. Luke Shaw, 7.4. It's pitiful. It's absolutely pitiful. And this is a player that is still part of the fabric at Manchester United. And you can have that conversation about Dalot. And we're on about having given a contract to Harry Maguire. At some point, Ralph Rangnick, years ago, needs to be listened to. This is not a management problem. This is a structure of a team problem. We can't moan about, oh, we've missed an opportunity. When we've missed opportunities for a decade, we've always been this. Jose Mourinho beat Man City. Jose Mourinho beat Liverpool. Jose Mourinho beat Arsenal. It's nothing new because Carrick does it or Amrim does it. It's the ability to be consistent, and we refuse to acknowledge the biggest issue. Michael Carrick comes in for a month and all we hear is the players are really happy with him. Oh, he's letting them do less training. They're loving the breath of fresh air. It's like Carrick's on trial to the players. Dalot's done an interview. Bruno's done an interview. Casemiro's done an interview about how they like Carrick. And I almost think, whoa, we've walked into the trap, haven't we, again? Why do we care what these players think about the manager? Why does their opinion actually matter about the manager? They are the problem, not those players, but the players are the problem. The players are the problem. The players are the problem at Manchester United because we keep them at the club for way too long when actually they don't deliver. 7.4 goal contributions per 100 games from Luke Shaw is pitiful. And I'd love to hear Ricky justify that, because ultimately a fullback at Man United should be contributing to the attack. And last night it was pitiful from both of them. That kills you straight away. And then you've got Ahmad, Bruno, Cunha and Mbeumo not really turning up. And ultimately, we didn't turn up last night. And how many times have we said Man United didn't turn up? So look, I look at it and I go, maybe when we're getting stories like last night that Harry Maguire's close to signing a new contract at Manchester United and everyone's going, oh, that's good for the club. Maybe we need some tough love. Maybe we need some ruthlessness at the club. I like Harry Maguire. He's a steady ship. He's been a good player for the last few years. But he's in his 30s. Yoro came on and nearly won man of the match. When Maguire's fit, Yoro sits on the bench. Maybe in building a vision for the future, it's time to say goodbye to Luke Shaw, goodbye to Harry Maguire, goodbye to Casemiro, and start giving these players who will be part of our future the opportunity to grow. If you're good enough, you're old enough. And yet we keep getting stuck into this pathway. I mean, you look at Carrick's team that he keeps picking, it's basically Ten Hag's back four in midfield. Maguire, Martinez, Dalot and Shaw, Casemiro, Mainu and Bruno. It's Ten Hag's back four and it's Ten Hag's midfield. And we're all sat here going, we can win the title next year. Some people are. So I think the open heart surgery is probably more important than who gets the job out of Carrick and Tuchel. I know what my look, in relation to the manager, I know what my preference is, but realistically, if Tuchel has to work with these players and Carrick gets a whole new squad, give it to Carrick. I think that, to me, is the most important thing about Manchester United. It's like we're obsessed with who the manager's going to be, but if the new manager doesn't get backed and Michael Carrick does, and I have the choice between Enrique but not backed and Carrick but backed, I'm saying Carrick but backed. Because I think that's the thing that is more important to Manchester United. So look, my stance is that there'll be more results like last night, whether it's this season or next season, with this set of players, because they are inherently inconsistent. We shouldn't be having the conversation about Michael Carrick getting the job, because ultimately Michael Carrick, he has publicly stated his opinion on the job already. And his opinion is we shouldn't be making knee-jerk reactions whether we win, lose or draw. So we shouldn't be making knee-jerk reactions when we win 4 in a row, and we shouldn't be making knee-jerk reactions when we get lucky with a late equaliser against West Ham. We should be looking at it in a sense of, how do we get into the Champions League? How do we get into the Champions League? That's the number one thing. And then in the summer, we need to do a proper recruitment process for a manager and the squad. And I don't think for 1 second that going into next season with Luke Shaw at left back, Harry Maguire at centre back, Dalot at right back, and Michael Carrick as the coach is very appealing right here, right now. But the Michael Carrick as coach thing actually isn't the thing that bothers me. It's more the other three and how we actually build a team. That's the thing for me at the moment, because I watched United last night and I saw no difference between our performance last night and what I've seen under Solskjaer and what I've seen under Ten Hag and what I've seen under Amorim. I didn't see anything last night that was tactically different from what we've been watching for years. And that's what scares me, because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And I could see it in the live chat last night. People were like, we're not winning this game. And I was probably a little bit naive going, look, we've scored a lot of games late. Of course we can. I know Thomas Frank's been sacked, but this is the United stand. Thomas Frank's been sacked. Okay, everybody happy now? What do you want me to talk about Thomas Frank? They're nowhere near us in the league. What impact does it have on Man United? We've played them twice already. So Thomas Frank's been sacked. I might do a video on That's Football. Well done. Thank you, everybody. Right, back to the United stand. Because what's more important to us is that when I look at the performance last night, I see exactly what I've seen for years under many different managers. And even winning the 4 games, I've seen that under different managers as well. I'm not seeing anything new. I'm not seeing anything new at this football club from Ineos. And what was the point if you're just going to do what the Glazers did? If you're going to make the same mistakes the Glazers did? I mean, if we give the job to Carrick, it's like Woodward giving the job to Ollie. If we give the contract to Maguire, it's like Woodward giving a contract to Luke Shaw. When are we going to start doing something different? When are we actually going to start doing something different? Because I look at the game last night and I agree. I think Sesko has to start against Everton. Not because he's the finished article, but because he offers something against a low block that this team doesn't. And whether Maguire's hamstring's okay or not, Lenny Yoro should start against Everton because he offers something that Harry Maguire can't. He offers a future. He offers potential. And these are the sort of things that we need to start looking at. And we're obsessed with the bloody manager. Should Carrick get the job? Should he get the job? Shouldn't he get the job? Oh, will he get the job? Oh, can he get the job? And I'm like, who gives a shit? Do we really think after 10 years that the manager is the problem at Manchester United? Are we really saying that the manager is the thing that's going to make Man United great again? It's not. It's what we do as a team that needs to change. And I've seen all the people having a pop at Ahmad. I've seen all the people having a pop at Bruno. I mean, look, everyone's entitled to their opinions. But in my opinion, I think that's a little bit steep. I think there are far bigger problems at Manchester United than that at the moment. Last night on MC, should have switched based on opposition, says Class of 99. And West Ham parked the bus and played deep, yet ESPN said Mbeumo should have played up front, but I think we needed him wide to stretch the play. What were your thoughts, says Red Boss? Look, I'm not going to go over my match reaction, but We should have started putting crosses in about 20 minutes earlier, and we should have put more crosses in than we did, because Xerxes went close, Sesko scored, Casemiro scored from a cross, which was offside. What does that show you? The one way we were going to... And look, even in the first half, corner, Luke Shaw blocked off the line. We created nothing in open play. Everything we did, well, a cross was in an open play, but my point is, everything we did that was dangerous was from a cross. So... Ornstein has put it on X that Spurs have sacked Thomas Frank, not United related. Thank you, Spill. That's basically an Ollie defence except Martinez. I like Ahmad, but how has he done to warrant never getting subbed off and starting every game, says GMAC. Look, in relation to Ahmad, I said it last night. I even did a tweet on it because I felt so strongly about it. I don't know why Ahmad is a scapegoat in this fan base. And the thing is, I've mentioned it a few times. I've detected it all season. I don't know what it is. I wish somebody could explain it to me. What is it about Ahmad that people have an issue with? He's got a good temperament. He works really hard. He's one of the hardest working defensive players we've got in our attack. There are other players that don't work anywhere near as hard as him to get back, and I think that's a product of him used as a wing back this season. He knows that he's got defensive responsibilities. He's the best player we've got at running at people. Yes, there needs to be an improvement in his final ball and his shooting, and I'm sure there will be, but I don't see what people want Ahmad out the team for. I don't get that. I really don't. Yes, obviously, maybe he could have been subbed off last night. However, I still think he's one of the most important players for Manchester United, and I don't think putting pressure on a player like that is in any way, shape or form valid. We've got far bigger problems than Ahmad. A new manager comes in, they turn up because they want to schmooze. Once they secure the spot, they switch off. Only Amrim, probably because he was 3-4-3 manager, says Seth. I think many underestimated Nuno's West Ham. They hit form, fighting for their lives, well organised and nullified our threats. Crossing into the box was our best option. 4 wins in those 5 is still very good, says Big Z. And it's hard to cope with the I don't know what that means, Amit. Morning, Mark. Sesko needs to start the next match. He shows us that we finally have a striker and how much he wants to win at this club. Get Delo out, says Jordan. And Patrick Lynch says, the team last night had 75% of players that Ten Hag had. That performance was very similar to what we saw during that time. Board have dragged their feet with meaningfully changes without meaningfully changing the squad. Hence why we see these performances. And Delo and Ahmad were shocking, says Phil. Well, look, I think Patrick's sort of picking up on what I was talking about. Like, that back four is Ten Hag's back four, and that midfield is Ten Hag's midfield. And Bruno, obviously, was a very important player for Ten Hag. I think Nicky Butt said it. It's not rocket science what Michael Carrick's done. We've abandoned something we were building that was completely new to go back to something that the players know, and they're more comfortable in it. Ultimately, time and time again, these players have proven they're quite basic. They can't break a low block. Many teams can break a low block. We can't break a low block. Yes, they like to play a 4-3-3. And yes, we did very well against Arsenal, Man City, Fulham and Spurs. But every one of those teams played quite open. Fulham play open. Arsenal and Man City, well, Arsenal were at home, so they played quite open. And Man City always play quite open. So... And Spurs was basically 10 men for an hour. The first team we come against that's actually well organised defensively, we just can't deal with it. And that's a shock. That's appalling. Appalling from the amount of money we spend on wages for these players, that they've got no ability to break down a low block. Look, it's very easy to play against a team where there's space, where you can ping it 40 yards into space, run onto it, cut it back, someone's in space, lay it off, someone's in space. The spare man, there's someone in space. There's loads of space in the midfield. Oh, space, space, space. But as soon as we're faced with organisation, we haven't got a bloody clue. And I think this has been levelled against this squad for many years. They're quite low IQ. They're quite basic. You give them basic instructions and they're quite happy. You give them something that's a little bit like, this is the plan. This is what you need to do. They can go and do it. This is the plan. It's not working. We need to find another way. What? So I think that is a problem. You're right on Ahmad. Happened since last season. It's weird, says Class of 99. I just don't get it. Every manager inherited the same core squad issues after Sir Alex. We keep sacking managers instead of fixing recruitment and replacing underperforming players, says Grimlock. Look, I like Harry Maguire, but is it not symbolic of the mistake the club makes all the time? Luke Shaw's been here for 12 years. Victor Lindelof was here for 8 years. I think Delot's been here for 7 years. And we're rushing to give a new contract. And look, the alternative to not giving Maguire a contract is letting him go, taking those wages, bringing another centre-back in, and you've got Martinez, De Ligt, Yoro, Heaven, and another centre-back. Do we need Harry Maguire to stay? I don't think we do. And if he stays, he'll want to play. And if he plays, he's blocking somebody else because we're playing a back four now, not three. So I just think... But it's not Harry Maguire's fault. It's not his agent's fault. It's not your fault for wanting him to stay. It's the club's fault. It's the club's fault that they can't see that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. If you keep these players at the club, why do you expect different outcomes? Why? Win 6, draw 3, lose 3. That's enough to qualify for the Champions League, says Amit. And about Shaw, you always said the eye test is more important. Maybe he gives more than simple stats say, says Bran. But mate, I think he's failing the eye test. I can give you the stats test and it was very interesting. I think he's failing the eye test. I thought he was shit last night. And I know Beth and Ricky were defending him and that's their right. And many of you can defend him, but I think it's undefendable. I mean, Ricky was saying I need to watch it back to see if he can't get to the ball in time. What bollocks? That ball is booted 50 yards from the left-back position and you're telling me he can't get back. He can't cover that ball off. I thought he was in great positions multiple times to put crosses into the box, but he's not somebody that gets many assists. I thought he was slow. Multiple times they broke on us and he's slow. It's just not good enough. Luke Shaw's had a good season playing as a left centre-back. I said as soon as he goes to left-back, he's going to struggle because he hasn't got the legs for it. Luke Shaw this season has had a decent season in relation to staying fit and when he was playing as a left-sided centre-back. But since he's moved to left-back, especially against Fulham and especially against Spurs and especially last night, admittedly, I thought he played well against Man City and Arsenal, but everybody does that. Last 3 games, I think he's been shit. And even if you don't think he's been shit, tell me where he's going to get his pace back from. Tell me where he's suddenly going to start creating goals from. Tell me where he's going to suddenly start defending better. There's no future in players like this. This is why we need change. This is Glazonomics, it's Ineos, whatever. I think this summer we won't buy a left back because we'll go, well, we had other priorities. Midfield was a priority and a winger was a priority and we ran out of time. Much the same as last summer. Well, yeah, we would have liked a midfielder, but we ran out of time and we had other priorities. And you look at the bench yesterday, there's no midfielder you can bring on. So we'll probably stick with Luke Shaw next season and then we'll be moaning about the same thing again and again. Like, the weaknesses of the team cost you goals. You look at the goal we conceded yesterday, Luke Shaw causes it, and then we don't defend a cross. How many goals have we conceded over the last 7 years from crosses into the box where we don't pick up the runner? Multiple times. Look at the final against Villarreal, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. In fact, Solskjaer's teams were shit at defending crosses across the ground. So we just keep seeing the same old cycle again and again. But before I move on, I think in relation to Michael Carrick, people need to stop talking about giving him the job. I think he wants people to stop talking about him getting the job. Let's get to the end of the season and see where we are. That's the brief. Unfortunately, we live in a society now where people can't watch a 3-hour film. They can't sit and read a book. They have short attention spans. It's this. You're being indoctrinated into this game, this matrix of short attention spans and short patience. And nobody can make a decision in the long term. It's you've either got to be, don't give Carrick the job under any circumstances or give him the contract now. And I'm like, no, I'm not listening to you and I'm not listening to you. I will make my mind up in April at the earliest, but probably at the end of the season. Because if the alternative is De Zerbi, who's now left Marseille, that's a roll of the dice for me. If the alternative is Tuchel or Enrique, I want that. If it's Southgate or Glasner, I want Carrick. So there's too much. And we had fans in this chat who I respect who would have given Carrick the job after beating Spurs. But tonight they'd say, "Oh, I don't want to." I don't understand that, but that's the modern world. People can flip their opinions like, yeah, give him the job, don't give him the job. Beat Everton, give him the job again. This is how people think in the modern world. And I'm like, I don't want to do that. I want to make my mind up and stick with it. I know sometimes you have to change your mind, but I actually like to make my mind up strong in the conviction that I think I'm right. This is why I didn't want Solskjaer to get the interim, because a couple of years ago, or whenever we got sacked, I said, sack him, he's not good enough. I was never going to go give him another chance as an interim because I felt it was massively hypocritical. I was there saying, sack him, he's out of his depth. He's done nothing since he left. Why would I want him back? But some people who were going, sack Solskjaer, were then going, oh, he's at the wheel, give him a job. And it's like, we live in that world now. We live in that world. I say it to my kids all the time. Sit and watch this film. Go and read that book. You can have phone time, but don't let it run your life. It's running your life. It's making you idiots. It's making you flip-flops. It's poisoning your mind. It's stopping you be you. It's stopping you take the time to think things through and go, I'm not rushing to a decision. And I'm not rushing to a decision on Carrick either way. Let's see where we are at the end of the season. 100%. And that's why when I look at, we're in a privileged position. You know, we're not just uploading shorts with fucking illegal clips of the game, you know, for short-term attention spans. We're sat here every 10 o'clock every morning, 8 o'clock every night having a conversation. It's quite a rarity, and I'm proud of it. And long may it continue. But it's not necessarily the world we live in. I mean, look at last night. Look, I can give you my opinion on it, but this is just something that came out this morning. Where was it? Let me find it. Oh yeah, Wayne Rooney. Wayne Rooney talking about the guy with the hair. He said, I'd put him to the other side of the country. He's doing my head in. We're talking about Carrick and United trying to win their 5th game in a row, and the whole thing is about this guy getting his hair cut. I bet he'd be devastated if United win the 5th game because of all of a sudden he's irrelevant. Now look, some people might say, ooh, bitter Rooney. Some people might applaud Rooney for that. You know what my stance on that is Liverpool, we need Sunderland to do a favour tonight. And I'm glad I said it in the preview, and I'm glad I said it in the watch-along, and I'm glad I'm saying it now. My obsession last night was being 8 points ahead of Liverpool, and they're going to Sunderland, who've not lost a game at home all season. That, to me, is Champions League football virtually on lockdown. By not beating West Ham, if Liverpool go to Sunderland tomorrow, and with Chelsea drawing as well, sorry, tonight, we're doing a watch-along for that, by the way. If Liverpool win tonight, they're 3 points behind us and they're 2 points behind Chelsea. And suddenly, they've been given a second chance. And that was what last night was all about. Winning 5 games in a row would have put us 8 points ahead of Liverpool. Drawing, I don't care about the fucking haircut. And I don't care about, like, oh, we're still unbeaten. And there are people out there going, don't know what you're moaning about, we're still unbeaten. What I'm moaning about is, why is it every time we get into a position where we can really lock it down, we leave the door open? And that's on the players. I guarantee you Michael Carrick sent the players into the game the same way he prepared for Fulham, the same way he prepared for Arsenal. But the light goes on and off dependent on them. And it's baffling, but it's true. So I agree with Rooney. It's like, you know, you're trying to win 5 games in a row to get back in the Champions League, and everybody's obsessed with a fucking haircut. I mean, apparently it got mentioned by commentators. Apparently, you know, everybody's tweeting about it. It is a bit embarrassing. But look, I don't even know whether I should have an opinion on it. there's a lot of backlash against it. I would imagine there's such a publicity thing now. There'll probably be a sob story, and you know, if you say anything negative about it, you're a bully. So you've got to be very careful what you say. But we are leaving ourselves open to being bantered when Michael Carrick's being asked about it in an interview. We are leaving ourselves open to being bantered when we're trying to win a game to get in the Champions League and be 8 points clear of Liverpool, and everybody's obsessed about whether a guy's going to cut his hair or not. And I think it, you know, in my opinion, some people don't like the United stand. Some people love people growing their hair long. There's a guy doing it with his beard. Each their own. Is that not democracy? Everybody can have their own, make their own mind up. It's absolutely fine. But to me, the only thing I was bothered about last night is Liverpool are our biggest rival, and we basically could have killed them last night, and we didn't turn up. And that's my frustration with it. That's my frustration with last night. Nothing else. And, you know, we've got to pick ourselves up. And it's interesting as well, like Michael Carrick had a couple of comments after the game. I mean, I'm going to get into your comments as well, but I have quite a few bits to get through. Carrick was talking about the fact that we don't play Everton until a week on Monday because we're playing Monday night football again. It's the FA Cup this weekend, so we play the next weekend. So he said, we're going to stay in Manchester. It's a chance to recharge our batteries. There are a few injuries and some minor issues. It'll be an opportunity to take a short break, process this period, clear our heads, work and come back stronger. It's strange, but we'll try to make the most of it. I think this is a mistake again. Like, I think this is a mistake. If I was Michael Carrick, and obviously the plans had already been made before the draw with West Ham, but I'd be waking up this morning and saying, I don't want to stay in Manchester. I don't want to give them more days off. I mean, literally, he has reduced the training time from Amorim already, and he gets a performance like that. I would not be thinking about, oh, let's keep... I mean, what all Carrick is doing is keeping these players happy. As an interim, that's your job. But I think last night, I would be like, you're not having 3 days off. I'd be like, fuck that. If you can't play on Saturday and Tuesday and get me 6 points, when I've been treating you really well, I've been reducing training, everything's been happy, happy, happy. You know, it's like having kids, isn't it? And like every night they get home from school, they can watch a movie, you've got a treat for them, and you go upstairs and they haven't cleaned the room again. And you go, right, tomorrow night, I want that room tidy, otherwise there are no treats. Then you come home, the treats are there and the room's not tidy. Like, I think Michael Carrick's been really good in relation to reducing training and etc. And the players and being, oh, we love Carrick. And now we should be off to Dubai for hot weather training. We should be playing a fucking friendly or something like that. We shouldn't be giving them more. It's Player FC again, isn't it? Ollie did this and now Carrick's doing it. And he needs to get tough. If he wants the job, it's the fans that decide whether Carrick gets the job, ultimately, not the players. And after that performance last night, I would not be thinking, oh, let's all stay in Manchester and take it easy. I'd be like, fucking hell, you can't even play 2 games in 4 days. When we come back, we've got Everton on the Monday, Palace on the Sunday, and Newcastle on the Wednesday. So we've got 3 games in, just over a week again. I'd be working them hard. I wouldn't be giving them time off. I don't think it's good to reduce training at all, Tracy. No, we're playing a record low of games. I personally think people like Bruno Fernandes, and there are others, benefit from playing weekend, midweek. I think there are players like Luke Shaw who benefit from playing 1 game a week because he's injury prone. But if we're preparing for next season, I think last night was a massive problem playing 2 games in 4 days. And that's a problem in itself. So I'd be using these 2 weeks to get us fit because when we go to Everton on the Monday, they're going to be up for that. And it's not quite Goodison Park. I mean, this is our first time at their ground, so I don't know what it's like atmosphere-wise. Goodison Park was always a tough place to go. But they're not going to make it easy for us, are they? West Ham gave us a taste of our own medicine, says Amit. Smart technology is used by dumb people world today, says Seth. Simon says, can't understand why Martinez stopped in his tracks every time he got the ball. I was waiting for him to pull his comb out of his pocket and do his parting, says Simon. The reason why we see the same problems is because the board don't want to spend to change the squad. They make up all stuff and not spend to change it, says Ray. Look, I'm absolutely convinced, and I said it when we were winning games under Carrick. They talk about best in class. They talk about big summers. The January transfer window closes and they talk about it might not be a big summer. And we're already hearing rumours that Carrick can get the job. That I'll guarantee you now, the Glazers and Sir Jim are sat there going, what's the cheapest option? Michael Carrick getting the job and working with these players. They will always choose the cheap option. I don't know why we still have fans in this fan base that think United are sat there in the boardroom going, well, Carrick's cheap, and if he works with these players, that's even cheaper. But really, we want best in class, so let's get a really expensive manager and chuck 400 million at him. The choice between best in class manager and a 400 million pound transfer spend, or Michael Carrick who's cheap and working with what he's got, you know what choice they want. You know what choice they want. What about Carrick to Spurs, says Zebit? He won't take that job. If a drawing a game means we're talking about managerial options again, questioning the longevity of certain players and understanding it's a long road ahead regarding the rebuild, I'm all for it, says Nick. Look, I actually think the result last night, how do I put this? I think the result last night isn't a bad thing. And I think this is what Nick P is talking about. It's a reality bite. I very nearly used reality bite as the thumbnail instead of too soon. But I thought too soon worked really well with giving Maguire a contract. It's too soon to give it. I mean, another thing about Maguire, did he not go off injured again? Why are we giving a contract to a guy that keeps getting injured all the time? But also, it's too soon to be talking about Michael Carrick getting the job. But reality bites would have worked as well, because I think actually, in the cold light of day, a draw was all we deserved last night. And I think West Ham should have won. But Wilson was selfish. I mean, if I was a West Ham fan this morning and if you get relegated by 2 points, look back at Callum Wilson when he shot instead of he should have squared it. That should have been 2. I can't believe it. And I remember talking about it in real time, but when you watch it back, if they go and watch the Callum Wilson chance, I think it's around 91 minutes. We're 1-0 down. They counter, and there's a cutback, piece of piss for a tap in, and he goes for a shot. That would have got West Ham 2 more points. So, but anyway, look, by the by, reality bite, we didn't deserve to win. We could have lost. A draw was all we deserved. And as Nick P says, and I agree with him, in a way, it's probably the best thing that could happen. Because the give it to Carrick bubble has burst. The we're easily going to get Champions League bubble has burst. And we're going to win the league next season has burst. And this team was always good enough, it was Amorim, has burst. The reality is, it doesn't matter who the manager is, this set of players ain't it. And if the board don't massively change this set of players, it doesn't matter who they appoint as manager. And that's the algorithm. That's it sorted. That's the reality bite. So I'm like Nick, if last night's result opens people's eyes to the real issues, great. Because waking up this morning having beaten West Ham with a late winner, all we'd hear is give it to Carrick. Oh, he's getting the best out of these players. And the reality is nobody's getting the best out of these players to the level we want. This squad's never winning a league title, and it's never winning a Champions League, and it's never going to consistently qualify for the Champions League. Huge expenditure is needed, huge removal is needed, and that's even before you talk about who the manager is. So I completely agree with Ricky as well. Not the Ricky, because he won't agree with what I'm about to say. I had some notes from the game last night, and I had FBs underlined exclamation mark. The fullbacks are shit in this team. When was the last... I did this last week. When was the last decent left-back we had? Probably Patrice Evra. When did he retire? Over a decade ago? When was the last decent right-back we had? Gary Neville, but maybe Valencia. Again, a decade ago. We have got so many problems at Manchester United. But... And we talk about the midfield, and we talk about the graveyard shift, and we talk about lots and lots of things. But we haven't had a decent fullback in a decade. And that's both sides. Man United has always been about wing play. And fullbacks, in my mind, are more important than a winger. A winger can be erratic. A winger can be on and off. But your fullbacks... You look at Mendes and Hakimi at PSG. You look at Trent and Robertson at Liverpool. They're the core of your team, attacking and defending. They're the consistent players. They deliver week in, week out. Bang, bang, bang. That's your job. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's a huge part of Man United's identity, and we haven't had a decent one in a decade. I mean, that's an absolute failure. But the scary thing is, and it's symbolic of Man United, is they try and pretend that what we've got is good enough. And the stats don't lie. Delo and Luke Shaw's goal and assist output is shite. And I don't think Mazraoui's is any better. And I've got to stop doing that. This is something we're not looking at. We're not even looking, I'm doing it again, we're not even looking at our fullbacks. And last night wasn't just a one-off. It's been going on for 10 years. We're not good enough at fullback. And, you know, I don't want to talk about Amrim. How the fuck was Amrim ever going to work when we've not had a decent fullback in 10 years and this is a guy that plays with wide players? How was it ever going to work? It was so bad, he had to start fucking using Ahmad as a right wing back. It's another flawed area of this squad. Do you think we'll get Champions League football? Yes, I do. I really do. But I don't think it's going to be the walk in the park we thought it was going to be. I think reality is bitten. I think we will get Champions League football. I don't think you can predict anything with this team. I mean, if you go back and watch my preview, I predicted a win, but I did say, for some reason, I'm getting a bad feeling about this. So, and I think that bad feeling, to explain it, is just you can't trust. It's trust. You can't trust these players. But when I look at that league table, we've got 45 points and Liverpool are 6 points behind us. It's going to be a big watch along tonight, and it's on That's Football. We'll do a 7 o'clock show here, and we'll go over to That's Football. That is probably one of the most symbolic watch-alongs that relates to us of the season, because if Sunderland can stop them winning, at least we come out of the game week as we were. But if they beat Sunderland and they go to 42 points, I mean, the shift is incredible. I think we could have been 8 points clear tonight, because I think if we'd won, Liverpool's heads would drop. But if that gap's 3 points tonight, that's big. But in our favour, we've got to go to Villa. Villa have got to come to us. Liverpool have got to come to us. Brentford have got to come to us. So I think we've got to play most of the teams in the top. We've got to go to Chelsea. Liverpool come to us. Brentford come to us. We've got to go to Everton. We've got to go to Bournemouth. And we've got to go to Newcastle. So we've got more games than that. But we play a lot of the teams in and around us. And we tend to perform better against the teams in the top 10. We've beaten Newcastle. We did play well against Villa. We've beaten Arsenal. We've beaten Man City. We've beaten Liverpool. We've beaten Chelsea. Brentford beat us. Everton beat us. Bournemouth drew with us. We've beaten Newcastle. So I think we'll do it. Look, one game a week is massively advantageous. The amount of match winners we've got. Take a positive from last night. Cunha was crap. Mbeumo wasn't great. Bruno was crap. Ahmad was crap. Sesko comes off the bench and scores a worldie. The thing we've got, and I said this after the Fulham game, if Fulham had Sesko, they'd have beat us. The advantage we've got is that we have got multiple match winners. So I would think one game a week, multiple match winners, Bruno in the team, we should still be able to average 2 goals a game. And that was the disappointment about last night. 1-1 is quite rare. We normally score 2 goals. And 2 goals would have won us the game, if we're being honest. So I think we will get Champions League football. It might be a bit bumpy along the way, but I think we will do it. But we should have made it easier. And especially when we're not in Europe, and especially when we're not in the FA Cup. I mean, I would have expected last night, from minute one, intensity, drive and passion. We're not playing at the weekend because we're out the FA Cup. We're not playing in Europe because we were never in it. Every game's a cup final, and they turned up like it was a pre-season friendly. It was disappointing. It was disappointing. Get your comments in, by the way. I want to go through some of those. I've got a couple of other bits to go through too. Let's have a quick look at this. De Zerbi and Marseille have parted ways. We've heard about that. Yeah, I don't think. Look, De Zerbi was interviewed before. but it's probably early days for us to start thinking about him at this point. And to be honest with you, if you want my honest opinion on De Zerbi, I would say right here, right now, it doesn't jump out at me as a huge improvement on Michael Carrick. You know, I mean, look, I'm not saying Carrick's better than De Zerbi. I think that's the sort of sensationalist swipe up shit that I've been talking about. But De Zerbi, I'd like to see what Carrick does till the end of the season before I say let's give it to De Zerbi, and which is what we should be doing anyway. We should be doing that. My crazy take is to drop Delo and have Ahmad play right back while also allowing Sesko to play with Cunha and Burma and Bruno. It's not that crazy, Fraz. It's not that quite crazy. I think that I thought Delo played quite well the last few games. I thought he was shocking last night. And I think actually West Ham made a mistake not getting the ball to Somerville more, because he caused him all sorts of problems. Remember that good save from Le Mans in the first half? Baffled that 2 weeks ago we were scoring from outside area. In the last night we just couldn't get any shots off at all, says Junkyard. I'm not baffled by it, mate. You know what it is? New manager bounce. New manager comes in. This has always been the problem, and I'm not even naming any players here. This is just the dressing room, right? New manager comes in or something happens. Oh, you know what? For 2 or 3 weeks, this is great. And then, you know what it is? It's like going on a lad's holiday. You go on a lad's holiday to Magaluf, and the first week is amazing. The second week is amazing. You're having a great time. This could never end. This should never end. And after 2 weeks, someone says it doesn't end. It doesn't end. We're staying for another 2 weeks, and then week 3 you start to go, you know, I don't. It was great for 2 weeks, but I don't want to do this another 2 weeks. Like, you know, I'm getting a bit tired of it now. You know, the shine's gone off, and that's what happens. You can't trust these players because they do something you think this is never going to stop, and then it just stops like that, and you go, why did it stop? And it's because they just can't sustain it. Mentally, they just can't sustain it for a long period of time. And that's the difference between winning titles and being in the Champions League, is that you do it over 38 games. You don't do it over 8. I tell you what, you just reminded me, and I have to hold my hand up. I said the light's not going to go out against West Ham. I can see us beating West Ham, Everton, Palace, and then the Newcastle away game will be difficult. So I was saying we'll win 7. I expected him to win 7. I mean, remember, Ollie won 8 in a row. Ollie won 8. So Carrick's done 4. I expected it. I actually am very surprised that the light went out this quick. I really did think once we got through Fulham and Spurs, West Ham, Everton and Palace, really thought we'd have the quality to beat them all. And I thought Newcastle away might be difficult, because it is. So, and look, Savage says Ollie had a better squad, to be fair. I don't know whether he had a better... I don't think that's got anything to do with it, mate. Because I get what you mean. Having somebody off the bench, and that's on the board, would have been nice for the midfield. But I don't think it's anything to do with squads. I think it's just can't be arsed. I think it's the light went out, and it will keep happening. Are we going for a left back in the summer? Shaw's days are over already, but we have to cope up with him for the rest of the season. Well, as I said yesterday morning, Diamonde's a player that we're moving on. Midfield we know about, but left back is an area that they want to move on, but they've got no names for at the moment. We need Davies, says Elshi. It's scary we might end up with Europa with this form, says Amit. We won't. I think we'll be fine. Casemiro disallowed was millimetre off, diabolical, says JB. But mate, look, I do not agree with you, right? And I'll tell you why I don't agree with you. We beat Fulham with a last-minute goal. If Anderson doesn't slip, he blocks that, it ends in a draw. We beat Spurs because Romero's an idiot. If he didn't do that, do we win that game? And now people want to say, oh, Casemiro was only just off. So, like, we didn't deserve to win last night. We've had a bit of luck. You need a bit of luck to win games. You know, Cole Palmer missed a sitter. They could have won last night, 2-2. So you're always going to get things that go against you and go for you. But in the fullness of that game, we didn't deserve to win that game. I think a draw was the right result, but we could have lost. We could have lost. So, fan forum were telling us we're half glass empty for being disappointed with the draw and writing off our fullbacks was unfair because it's one bad game. Mate, this is the brilliance of this channel, 1 Inch Wonder. You know, I watch the fan forum sometimes. I don't really care what they say. I've got no interest in what they say if it doesn't, in the sense that if it's not the same as me, good. If they want to defend that performance as a one-off, where have they been for the last 10 years? And I'm not blaming Carrick, I'm blaming the players. If they want to say the fullbacks was a one-off, where have they been for the last 10 years? So I completely disagree. But we'll come back at some point in the next few months and we'll go, well, where's your one-off then? Where's your one-off? I disagree. I think we've been seeing this for a long time. But maybe they just want Carrick to get the job. Maybe that's what they're on about. Maybe they're anti-Amorim and they just want Carrick to get the job and they're just going to polish a turd. Maybe. But I'm not anti-Carrick and I think last night was shit. Unexcusable, lazy, light switch went off and it exposed a lot of the problems that we have. There's a lack of pace at the back. The fullbacks aren't good enough. We don't have any midfield on the bench. And sometimes our players don't turn up. West Ham gave us a taste of our own medicine. Thank you, man. Appreciate that. Nika says, I don't think a draw was the right result. We deserved to lose. I don't know. I mean, look, we had the Luke Shaw corner that was blocked off the line. Xerxes' header was never going to go in, to be fair. Casemiro was just offside. They were probably our big chances. West Ham, 2 blocks from Yoro. Wilson should have cut it back for the winner. They scored the goal, and it was a good save from Somerville. I mean, I don't think a draw's an unfair result. I think we could have lost. I do. Not Prepared says, do you think it's strange we've played 6 evening games this season and not won a single one? 5 draws and 1 loss. I think that's just more coincidence, yeah. Daniel Thompson says, my stance on Carrick hasn't and won't change in that I'm backing him in the interim, but we need the very best manager in the summer. If Carrick does well, consider him, but we need the very best, no question. Thank you very much. Need to start Sesko. If it doesn't work, sub him off at 65 minutes and change it up. He offers a lot to not be starting. He is young, but it's a difference. He's a difference maker, says Trigger. And Patrick Lynch says, fact that De Zerbi has left his last 2 clubs by mutual consent means he's difficult. That's a red flag, meaning he probably won't be in consideration from our board. I don't think De Zerbi gets the job. I don't think he's... I don't think you... If Carrick gets Champions League football and then you give the job to De Zerbi, I don't think that's enough of an upgrade. I think this is a really important equation. I think Carrick will get his Champions League football. Is that enough for him to get the job? Not really. Di Matteo won the Champions League and was shit when he got the full-time job. So Carrick gets the Champions League job and he's part of the process, which is right. If you give it to De Zerbi, that upgrade's not good enough. If you give it to Southgate, that's a downgrade. If you give it to Glasner, the upgrade's not good enough. If you give it to Iriola, it's not good enough. If you give it to Tuchel, or you give it to Ancelotti, or you give it to Enrique, then that's the upgrade. And that's the important factor for me. Carrick has to be in consideration, but if he doesn't get it, the upgrade has to be understandable. De Zerbi's not understandable to me. Yeah, I don't think he'll get it. The fact that we don't play until next Monday is pathetic. Monday games are pointless. Your opinion of the officiating last night, says Tom. Look, I actually think in every single game you're going to get officiating that's not great. But I thought Michael Oliver did quite well against Spurs. And I thought the referee last night let the game flow. And some people have a problem with that. But if you watch the Bundesliga, they let the game flow. And letting the game flow means letting soft fouls go. I actually thought the game flowed quite well last night. I didn't have a problem with it. I think it wasn't as stop-start as maybe it could have been. I think there was fouls on both teams that could have been given, i.e. that one on Cunha in the first half. But I'm not blaming officiating. When Wilson fluffed it, I was busy watching Mbeumo busting his gut to run back. Refreshing to see we have players now who will sprint back as well, says Bulbus. Yeah, and Ahmad does that very well. My crazy take is to drop Delo and have Ahmad. We've done that one. Appreciate that as well. Rooney comment. We've spoken about the Rooney comment. Thomas Frank's gone. Frank obviously is the guy with the hair. Look, anything I say will either be supporting something and part of the problem or bitter and jealous, right? The only thing that makes me bitter and jealous in this industry is seeing the vast amount of content creators out there using stills of Premier League footage or Premier League footage for views. If I do that, the Premier League will shut us down. And we've been told that. That's the only thing in this industry that pisses me off. The amount of people who get away with putting clips of games or stills of games, which you're not allowed to do, and get views from it. So that's my honest take on being bitter about something. I couldn't give a toss about any other content creator. Could literally stop tomorrow and never need to work again. I do this because I love this community, whether it's here or that's football. So in relation to another content creator doing well done, fair play. It's, you know, I'm sure he has his battles against people who have a pop at him. The only thing I would say is I got sent a clip last night, and in the top right hand corner you've got a talent agency, you've got a betting company, you've got a bakery, 4 brands in the top corner, and not one of them was the charity. So I went and looked at the charity, and the charity has raised £7,000 and the target is 10. And I'm looking at it and I'm going, on that stream last night alone you've probably made between 30 and 100 grand. Why not just take 10 grand of that, do your charity thing, and then go and make your money? Because I thought it was all about charity. So having done charity work myself and raised 50 grand in 12 hours, 7 grand, just use some of the money from the brand to take it up to 10 grand and then go and do whatever you bloody well like. That's my only observation, because I wrongly thought it was all about the charity, and it's not all about the charity. When you're signing up with talent agencies, it's not about charity, is it? It's about something else, and that's fine. You go to work, I go to work, but I would just say you're going to get a load of shit this morning. Wayne Rooney's calling you out. Take 3 grand from the many grands you made last night, hit your 10,000 charity topic, and go, I've hit my target. Just turn it into that, because that's what it should be all about. That's my only observation on it. Do you think it's strange we've played 6 evening games? I've done that one from Not Prepared, yes. On Wilson, I think Yoro did a great job by not committing too early to limit the passing lane and force Wilson to shoot, says Ray. I think the passing lane was there. I think the passing lane was there. But look, Liverpool tonight, if Sunderland beat Liverpool, we're as you were. If Liverpool draw with Sunderland, we're as you were. If Liverpool go to Sunderland and win, it stings a little bit more. But overarchingly, the disappointment from last night is a reality bite, and in many ways could do us some good. Would it? Here's a theory for you. If we'd won last night and we keep winning and we win 10 games in a row and it's Carrick at the wheel, who does that help? I think we'll get Champions League football anyway. So if we win loads of games, is that papering the cracks? We give the job to Carrick. Ineos are there going, this squad's good enough. We don't do a lot of stuff in the summer, and we're back here in a year going, fucking hell. We draw last night. We get the reality. We know whoever gets the job as a manager, there's huge amounts of work to be done in the summer because that team can't be trusted. In a way, it's not the end of the world, is it? The end of the world is the people who think that we don't need anything other than a manager. The squad's nowhere near where it should be, as Savage said. And the squad is the problem. So I'll say what I've said multiple times. Even if we won every game between now and the season, which we're not going to do, you still need north of £300 million of investment in that squad. And anything less won't be enough. Reality bites. Thanks everyone for watching. Stay safe. Take care. I'm back at 7 tonight. We've got a 2 o'clock show as well. 7 o'clock tonight, because we will be doing Liverpool against Sunderland at Sunderland as a watch along. It's got a lot on it. Take care everyone. Stay safe, and I'll speak to you on the next one.